The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Jennifer, if you're available, can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair Boschert. Chairman Boschert,
Here?
Vice Chair McConnell,
Here.
Commissioner Carpenter,
Here.
Commissioner Colling,
Here.
Commissioner Dunn,
Here.
Commissioner Tomacek. Please stand by. I'm letting him into the meeting now. Commissioner Tomacek, we're doing a roll call vote. If you're present, would you please indicate so?
I am here.
Thank you. Commissioner Mayo.
Here.
Commissioner Zhang.
Here.
Commissioner Torres.
I believe she's excused. You can correct me on that, Jennifer.
Yes, excused. Thank you. Roll call is complete.
Okay, we have all regular members attending, so none of the alternates will be voting tonight. And with that, I will ask if there is a motion to approve the meetings of the previous, or excuse me, the minutes of the previous meeting. Do we have a motion?
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman, I
Dunn.
so move.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner McConnell. All in favor, please say aye. I believe it's roll call.
Chairperson Boschert.
Aye.
Chairperson Boschert is in favor. Vice Chair McConnell.
Aye.
Vice Chair McConnell is in favor. Commissioner Carpenter.
Aye.
Commissioner Carpenter is in favor. Commissioner Calling.
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner Calling is in favor. Commissioner Dunn.
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn is in favor. Commissioner Tomacek.
Aye.
Commissioner Tomacek is in favor. Commissioner Mayo.
I was not at that meeting.
Thank you. And Commissioner Zhang.
Aye.
Commissioner Zhang is in favor. Vote is complete.
The minutes are approved. Thank you. Due to COVID-19, comments were accepted electronically and via email and were delivered to the Planning Commission staff and posted on the public agenda packet prior to this meeting. Those who wish to give comments and signed up in advance per the online guide will be called upon in order to speak during the live meeting. There's only one item on this evening's agenda. It's item 3A, a public hearing and consideration of an amendment to the Westminster Municipal Code, Title 11, Chapter 11, Sign Regulations. Mr. Gurman, are you ready to present?
I am, sir. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good evening to all of you, commissioners. My name is David Gurman. I am a senior planner with the city's planning division. It is my pleasure to be presenting to you this evening. Also with us this evening are Rita McConnell, planning manager, Sean McCartney, senior urban designer, John McConnell, principal planner, Mark White, our sign code consultant of White & Smith LLC. In addition to our usual Kristen Decker from the city attorney's office, and thank you, Kristen, for that. We also have Matt Munch this evening from the city's attorney's office. Matt has been the attorney working on the sign code with us. Next slide, please. In December of 2017, the City Planning Division began laying the foundation for updating the city's sign code, which is Title 11, Chapter 11 of the Westminster Municipal Code. The decision to update the sign code was initially triggered by the Supreme Court decision, Reed versus the Town of Gilbert, Arizona, which was rendered in June of 2015. Staff recognized that changes to the existing code were needed to bring it into compliance with the Reed versus Gilbert decision. Additionally, the existing sign code had not been substantially updated since 2007, with only 2 minor amendments in 2011. It was time to create a new code that was easier to understand, that better addressed new trends and technologies, and that cleaned up and removed problems that had been identified with the existing code. This was also recognized by the City Council, as an update of the sign code was added as an action item on the strategic plan adopted in July of 2016. Tonight, we will highlight the work that has been completed and present to you the current draft of the new sign code. Next slide, please. Several goals were laid out for the new code. Staff wanted to make a document that featured photos and illustrations and charts to make the regulations easier to understand. The new code had to be compliant with the tenets of the Reed versus Gilbert decision. Creation of the new code had to be grounded by a transparent process that included an inclusive public outreach component. Finally, staff wanted a code that would meet the evolving needs of sign users within our community while not compromising the established character and aesthetic quality of the city. Next slide, please. Staff employed multiple approaches in reaching out to stakeholders in the sign code update process, including presentations, an open house, an online presence on the city's website, repeated notices in the City Edition and Westminster window, use of social media, and even one-on-one interviews. Interested parties were encouraged to respond to an online visual preference survey, to submit questions, to offer comments, and their opinions. Input was solicited from all of the groups featured on this list. Next slide, please. To assist with the update process and to ensure the best possible results, the city enlisted the support of a consultant team led by White & Smith LLC, and that included Winter & Company and Kendig Keys Collaborative. The effort was broken into 2 phases. The first phase was focused on data collection and included public outreach and extensive research. The second phase used the feedback received to inform policy decisions in the drafting of a new code. The 4th draft of this code was made available for public review and comment on October 1st and has been updated with new drafts as they have become available. The new code is scheduled to be presented at a public hearing and first reading before the City Council on December 14th and, if approved, would be adopted with the second reading by City Council on December 28th. Next slide, please. One of the most important requirements of the new sign code is to be compliant with the tenets of the Reed v. Gilbert Supreme Court decision. Essentially, this decision mandates that government regulation of signs be content neutral. What this means, in simplest terms, is that governments may not impose limitations or grant allowances based on the content of a sign's message. However, things like location, size, materials used, and quantity permitted may still be regulated. Next slide, please. This slide and the next 2 highlight some of the changes proposed with the new sign code. All of the sign types shown on this slide may be found in the currently existing sign code and are granted greater allowances in the new code due to feedback received during the process. These greater allowances may provide for such things as more sign face area or a higher number of a given sign type, depending on the parameters of the building or site involved. For example, for a 10+ acre property, the city currently allows monument signs of 100 square feet in area, while the new code proposes 150 square feet. Another new allowance for monument signs is that the number of tenants restriction has been removed. You can see in this photo that there's only 6 tenants allowed on that particular monument sign just by the way it's constructed. And that has been removed. They can fill in that space however they'd like. A final example has to do with wall signs, which are currently allowed 300 square feet in total area on a building facade. This is being increased to 400 square feet. Next slide, please. These sign types are new to the proposed code or have a much expanded availability in the proposed code. For example, EMC or electronic message center signs were previously allowed only for institutional uses. This limitation is no longer permissible under Reed v. Gilbert. Under the new code, EMCs would become available for all commercial users throughout the city. Roof signs are allowed in the downtown and stationary specific plan districts. This was done to increase possible creativity in these two very unique areas. Skyline signs are added with the new draft to make it easily possible to identify taller buildings of 3 stories or more. Next slide, please. Many sign types found in the existing code have been recategorized in the new code. Most of these sign types have new allowances. Incidental signs now include all temporary signs, many other types of permanent signs such as menu boards and real estate signs, directional signs, and so forth, with a larger quantity of signs in each category generally permitted. Internal signs allow for wayfinding within larger commercial settings and don't count against monument signage for the developments. Next slide, please. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission hold this public hearing and subsequently that the Commission recommends approval of the proposed amendment to the Westminster Municipal Code, which revises and replaces Title 11, Chapter 11, Sign Regulations to City Council. Next slide, please. Staff believes that this proposed code amendment, if approved, will provide a practical, improved, well-organized, and easy-to-understand sign code to the sign users of our city. Thus, approval of the new sign code supports the visionary leadership, effective governance, and proactive regional collaboration city strategic plan goal. The new code was created using a collaborative and transparent process, which supports the vibrant, inclusive, and engaged community goal. Measures taken to ensure that signs are appropriately designed, numbered, and sized support the beautiful, desirable, safe, and environmentally responsible city goal. Because the new code would provide many new sign opportunities for local businesses, the dynamic, diverse economy goal is also supported. It should be noted that City Council reviewed the current draft at its study session last week and responded favorably. Thank you all for your attention this evening. I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions from commissioners? I have a quick question, Mr. Gurman. I have 2 EMC signs in my neighborhood that are extremely bright after dark. In fact, they're so bright, I believe they're a hazard to drivers. They're right on the streets on Sheridan, and they're bright enough to blind oncoming drivers. Does the city have any requirement that these EMC signs be dimmed at night?
Yes, we actually do. There's requirements for dimming and also for a higher quality in terms of the resolution for new signs. That may not affect existing signs, but the dimming requirement would still come into play. But those two parameters together should help significantly reduce that problem. And by the way, I share your recognizing that problem with these kinds of signs. It's one of my problems with them too. So I was very cognizant of that when we were doing this work.
Great, thank you. I think it's something that needed to be addressed. Any
Yes, sir.
other questions? Richard?
Yes. Are there any notifications planned to previous businesses that, kind of fell victim to the previous sign code? The one that comes to mind is Culver's, when they came for a variance for a 4-sided signage on their building, and we declined and only allowed them to have 3, but now 4 is allowed.
Yes, sir. We've made a very concerted effort to identify all kinds of folks who had an interest in the redo effort and the new update effort, including businesses such as the one you're talking about. And of course, as we identify more, we're happy to reach out to them. There will be a lot of public information going out also on our website and social media to announce when the new code is available. So we hope to make it a priority to get the word out to folks. The good news is Over the last 3 years of the work, there are a lot of messages have been sent out, and so there's quite a lot of understanding that it's coming already. So that's, we're all kind of ahead of the game there.
Okay, that's good news. Thank you.
Any other questions? David?
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one question based, or part A and part B, I guess, based on the agenda memo, talking about the electronic message center signs. It says we are going to be permitting them, which seems good, but number one, it says that they're mostly going to be a standalone monument sign, except in the Westminster station and downtown Westminster areas where monument signs are prohibited. Where or when did we prohibit monument signs in the downtown area, or are we doing that with this code? And then secondly, in these two areas and only these two, EMCs may be used at wall signs. Why are they only allowed to be used as wall signs in those two areas?
A great question, sir. The prohibition against monument signs in the downtown and the TOD, or the rail station area, came about with the adoption of the specific plan district documents for those two areas. So that's not something new out of the sign code. We just, we recognized it, so we wanted to kind of address that as we went forward. And that is exactly why they're allowed wall signs instead, so that those businesses or other sign users are not denied the use of the EMC. Because otherwise they would, if you said, well, you can only have them on monument signs, and then you say monument signs aren't allowed, they'd be out of luck.
Clear. And why are wall signs not allowed outside of those two areas?
We tried to balance the EMC from an aesthetic standpoint, EMC, electronic message center sign, and it was felt that the most aesthetically pleasing version is the monument sign display. And in fact, most of the support that we got from sign users, including those who expressed a desire to have the EMCs, were looking for monument signs predominantly. And as well as also in the visual preference survey, that was the strong leaning, is to avoid the wall and use the monument as the method of display.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. One other comment I would throw out, just for the commissioners to chew on a little bit, is that monument signs are very commonly associated with our suburban environment. They're the more common kind of expected and accepted sign archetype. So they really fit in well there as well.
Any other questions from commissioners?
It looks like Joe has one in the chat, or is asking to be recognized in the chat.
Yeah, I see that. Joe, did you have a question?
Yeah, well, actually, Commissioner Carpenter asked it for me, but I would also like to add with the monument signs, I can remember a few years back, don't remember which shopping center it was, but one of the tenants was not going to be able to have their business name on the monument sign because they'd run out of space. So I was glad to see that we no longer have a cap on the number of tenants that can be listed on the wall sign.
Yes, sir. That came up as a common thread, so we were happy to accommodate.
Okay, that's great news.
I don't see any further requests to speak. but I will allow anyone who wants to ask a question just to turn on their mic and camera. Seeing no requests, I will open the public testimony and ask Jennifer, was there any public testimony in the form of voicemails or emails?
Thank you, Chairman Boschert. There were no emails received in advance, no requests to speak during the meeting, and no public comment in the form of emails or voicemails were received after the packet was originally published on Thursday.
Very good, thank you. With that, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion on this item. Looks like we have bashful commissioners tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. I'm just looking up the language real quick,
Okay, good.
just to make sure that we do this correctly. 1 second.
I found it if you haven't found it.
Oh, do it. I'll second.
Okay. I recommend approval to City Council of the proposed amendment to the Westminster Municipal Code, which revises and replaces Title 11, Chapter 11, sign regulations.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Carpenter and Commissioner Mayo. Any discussion on this motion? Let me say, I think it's a well thought out and well parsed regulation, and I think it'll be a great addition to the city's code. Commissioner Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to echo those comments, and as the sign code has been something that I've been asking questions about and requesting amendments to the entire time I've been on the commission. I'm glad to see that we've removed a lot of restrictions. This is really an improvement towards freedom and signage in Westminster, and I thank the staff and consultants and all the stakeholders for all of their hard work over the years to work towards making this a reality. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or discussion?
Yeah,
Commissioner Mayo.
I would echo those same comments. Many of those changes were really nice to see, to be honest with you. So it'll, loosen things up a little bit. It'll make us more consistent with our neighboring cities. So I appreciate the staff going through that effort.
Thank you. If anyone else wishes to comment, just turn on your mic. We'll have a minute here to comment. While we're waiting, Jennifer, I don't mean to be too officious, but we have 7 regular commissioners here tonight, so it looks like the alternate will not be voting. Sorry about that, Mr. Zhang.
No worries.
Okay, good. Seeing no further comments, I will call the question. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Boschert.
Aye.
Commissioner Boschert is in favor. Vice Chair McConnell.
Aye.
Vice Chair McConnell is in favor. Commissioner Carpenter.
Aye.
Commissioner Carpenter is in favor. Commissioner Calling.
Aye.
Commissioner Calling is in favor. Commissioner Dunn.
Aye.
Commissioner Dunn is in favor. Commissioner Tomacek.
Aye.
Commissioner Tomacek is in favor. Commissioner Mayo.
Aye.
Commissioner Mayo is in favor. Roll call vote is complete.
And the motion passes unanimously. Thank you all for your vote. Do we have any old business?
Mr. Chairman, this is Rita McConnell. I do want to follow up with the attendance requirements that was posed at the beginning of the Planning Commission hearing. The bylaws do specify how these should be handled. Basically, it states that if there's absenteeism for 2 consecutive regular meetings or any 3 regular meetings in a 6-month period, the members shall receive notification from the chairperson. If that member is absent from 4 consecutive regular meetings or 25% of the regular meetings in a fiscal year, unless excused by the commission, the matter shall be referred to City Council. So it's very important to ensure that we are noting excuses, and those should arrive prior to the Planning Commission meeting on an annual basis. Jennifer, as the planning aide, should be looking at those numbers, and if there is an issue, notifying you so that you can notify the member.
Very good. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're
So
welcome.
all a commissioner needs to do is notify in advance, and they are.
Yeah, at this time, it does require excuse by the commission, and if that's noted, we would document that.
Okay. Well, do we know if Commissioner Torres gave notification?
I would
I
ask.
did not- I'm sorry. I did not receive any notification.
Okay, we'll just keep a kind of a running track of that, and I don't think it will be a problem, but we'll keep track of it. Thank you, Rita, for that information. And do we have any new business or miscellaneous business? Seeing that there is none, go ahead.
I'm sorry, this is Jennifer. I just wanted to let everybody know that the next meeting will be an informational only meeting on December the 8th, and it will be a draft sustainability plan presentation.
Very good.
And Mr. Chairman, this is David Gurman. I do want to again thank everybody for attending tonight, and I really do appreciate all of your support. I'm sure our city council will appreciate hearing that, so thank you.
And I need to thank you too, David. That was a great presentation, and I think you've come up with a great document.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have a motion to adjourn? I will assume we do. This meeting, okay, Joe.
I move we adjourn.
This meeting is adjourned. See you all, and thank you, Jennifer, Matt, and David.